Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pasch podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pasch.
Hi, this is Brian Pasch, and welcome to another exciting podcast interview. I'm with Connie Gundrum. She's the Chief Marketing Officer from CF Search Marketing. And today we're going to be talking about generative AI search and, well, the changes that are going on with AI and SEO, with Google search, and maybe how people will find things on the internet in the future, which means that dealers need to work with an agency that's staying ahead of these changes. Connie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Excited about our chat today.
Yes, and thanks so much for being a supporter of dealer education, coming out to the Modern Retailing Conference in November. It's not going to be a far commute for many people at CF Search Marketing because you're right in West Palm, and the conference is in the beautiful O Hotel in Palm Beach. So Connie, let's start with some basics. Dealers have assumed in general that SEO hasn't changed much, and basic Google search hasn't changed much, with the exception of maybe the introduction of VLAs. But when people start playing around with generative AI tools and the wealth of information that comes back, people's eyes are opening up. Hey, what's the future of search? What's the future of advertising in an AI world? So at a very high level, what are you telling dealers they should be thinking about in regards to the way people are going to be searching in the future?
Yeah, I think we have to tell them to make sure that they're, changing and evolving and watching the trends. When it was AI overviews, which is Google's, new search for AI, before that it was SGE. We were worried about, how Google ads were going to show up. That kind of went away. So we really just need to stay on top of it, have conversations with dealers, make sure they're aware of it and their changes, and then evolve what we're doing for search.
When we think of content generation, there's been a lot of confusion on the market. Recently, I was participating in a workshop, and some of the advice was, okay, use ChatGPT or equivalent to write something, then throw it through another tool, which makes it so that it doesn't look like it was done by AI. And then you can use that for different purposes. What are you telling your dealers about content generation and SEO? Because, it's how people search, and the AI tools for search are impactful. But then the other issue is, how do they get their content to show up more frequently when people are asking these questions, which I think the way people search is going to change, right? It's going to be more conversational, I think. So what are you telling them, and what is your team coaching dealers with and implementing? Because obviously you're writing content for dealers and helping them with their organic search visibility. What's your take on it right now?
It goes back to strategy. So, you have to know the dealership, what they need to sell, what sells in their area for their market, their top search models, the latest, newest, hottest models coming out, the top inventory that they have, and then what questions I think are important that their customers are asking, because a lot of these AI-based search responses are question based, they're informational. So what questions are your own customers asking you? And we're finding high volume search phrases and queries, with tools, right? AdWords Keyword Planner or SEMrush keyword tools and things like that. But I think it starts with the quality conversation with the dealer, knowing the dealer's market, looking at the market master, making sure that you're on the right track.
So, in the past, I think people were doing something like year, make, model for sale in a city as a search, or, used Honda Pilot in West Palm. What do you feel is moving like a more common trend when you look at SEMrush, when you look at the Google Keyword Planner? what's changing in the way people are searching? Because I know now, as I've been playing around with AI tools, I can ask more intelligent questions and even use disclaimers like, where is, the best restaurant that also has takeout for under 25 bucks or something. You know what I mean? Like Google's able
Yeah.
to start to asking questions instead of saying best Chinese restaurant near me. So what are you seeing that the keyword planners or SEM rush, what's changing in the way that consumers will find dealers?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, it started with voice search, right? So you're talking to the internet versus typing in it oftentimes, from your car, from on the go. So, how do I extend the range of my Chevy EV? That could be one. That's one of the ones that our dealers are showing up for in AI overviews. Questions: what, where, how, those type of phrases. That's what dealers need to be optimizing for, and should have been for voice search for many years now, just trying to, all of those tactics that we've been using or should have been using in best practices, they're still here. And there, we need to remind dealers that that's what they need to be focusing on.
So for example, if we're building a page of content for an EV, pick any model that you like.
Right.
Normally we'd have a page title and then we'd have like H1, H2 tags. And in the past, we might say, features or colors or towing package, something basic, almost like a PowerPoint outline. Is it more useful today to have those H1 or H2 tags say, what is the towing capacity of a Toyota Tundra? And then answering that question, and what is the best hitch package for a Toyota Tundra, and answering, is it a page with question, answer? Do you think that's the better, format today than more like a brochure outline?
Yeah, I do. And, Q&As, pros and cons, all of those type, you know, pages, step-by-step guides. It has to be comprehensive as well. Which we have in automotive had comprehensive pages, like you're talking about. These model pages have been very comprehensive, but maybe, like to your point, formatting it in a different way.
Great. And so, one of the things that I've found is that dealers don't have a lot of content on their website for EVs. Is that
Mhm.
something that CF Search Marketing can help them with? Meaning, remember at one time, it was like, well, I'm only getting a few EVs.
Right.
I'm not spending a lot of time optimizing content. I get 5 here and there and I sell them. Now dealers are sitting on EV inventory. So are you suggesting that dealers today start developing a robust set of content pages for each model, answering those questions about range, charging network, charging adapter,
Yeah.
maintenance costs, tire wear? I've heard that tire wear on EVs are significantly more than on a regular ICE vehicle. I haven't thought about why that's the case, other than maybe the car is heavier or just the way in which the braking
Heavier.
is being
Yeah.
done. But are you able to provide turnkey solutions to make sure dealers fill those gaps for EV models?
Yeah, so definitely we are. And, be the first to market, I'd say, right? That gives you the competitive edge. So if other people aren't doing it and they're like, oh, EVs aren't a thing or in my market, or you're still going to be a trustworthy source to Google. And they're going to, start serving up your site more if you're trustworthy, which means that you have, strong reputation with Google for having good quality content, right? I just bought an EV. Fun
Oh,
fact,
really? What
little
did you
side
buy?
story. I bought an Audi Q8 e-tron. I've had a Lexus forever, like 15 years, to a few different Lexus. And I was going to buy a Lexus. I was going to buy maybe a hybrid this time. I walked into a dealer. I think Gina Walsh, right?
Yes.
I walked in for a dealer meeting and they're like, what do you mean? Come over here. Come look at this EV. And I'm like, EV, I don't want to charge my car. I don't want to go through any of that. And they're like, how many miles do you drive? I don't drive a lot of miles. It's sad.
Yeah,
I
either do
drive
I.
like 30. I don't drive a lot of miles. So they're like, oh, you're perfect for an EV, so I leased it. And you have no idea the amount of research I did. Like as I was going through the process, like, am I going to like this car? Am I,
Yeah.
so I was a person that wasn't even considering an EV at all. Now, granted, I'm in the business. So,
Right.
I was persuaded a little bit,
Well, you
but
were aware,
yeah,
and
I
now that
was
you
aware.
have it, do you love it?
I absolutely love it. I love it. My kids love
So,
it. They want me to
so,
just drive around
but
in the car.
here's a
Yeah.
practical example. I think, Connie, that if you think about the things that you love right now about your EV, while it's fresh in your mind,
Hmm.
I bet those are the things that could also be used to inspire the content that goes on dealer sites. You know,
100%. Yeah.
why should I buy an EV now? And if you think of like, if I ask you like, are you happy with your EV? And you're
Yeah.
saying yes. Okay, give me 5 reasons why you're happy now that you purchased one. I think that's like a Q&A thing.
Right.
Former ICE, consumer switches to EV, and here's Connie's 5 reasons why she's super happy she made the plunge, right? I think we need to be thinking a little bit more about what are the benefits of EV? Am I going to be disappointed after I buy my EV?
And what are right? What are the fears?
What do
Right.
you love about your EV? Give me, if you had to write an outline, what would be 5 bullets? We don't have to go into details, but what
Yeah.
comes to mind?
Definitely the technology, the
Okay.
speed, the quickness,
Okay.
and
Responsiveness. Yeah.
yeah, responsiveness. It's just very high tech, and I like how quiet it is.
Quiet.
So yeah,
And
and
your
I
kids
like
love it.
not,
Number 5, and your
yeah,
kids love it.
and it's easy. It's easy to charge. I charge it in my garage, so it's much less. I was fearing. Everybody talks about range anxiety. I don't have that because I don't drive a lot. So I can take my husband's car. He has a nice vehicle.
No,
So
my next car could very well be an EV because I mean, I have a car that's now 5 years old. It has 32,000 miles. And my wife's car is probably 4 years old and she has 30, so we're driving less than 10,000 miles a year. At any time, I'm not driving more than probably 100 miles. Right. I mean,
right,
so,
that's how. Yeah,
right. You drive
right,
to the grocery store, so,
to the airport.
well, that's all I do,
Right.
right? Most of my
Yeah.
miles is in the air. I just clipped over 2 million miles with United. I'm just about clipping over 1 million with Delta because I was up in New Jersey, so that was better for United. But yeah, things like this, I think dealers need to think about because, right? Wouldn't you say that with the AI-driven search algorithms, they're looking for authoritative content that's formatted to answer questions, and that if it's well structured, clearly written, you have a much better chance of showing up in search results, right?
100%. But let's not forget about, what you've been talking about for years, your Google business profile and, all the local, SEO listings and NAP,
Yes.
name, address, phone number. So, reputation, building a strong reputation with positive reviews is still part of it, and technical optimization, as you said, with the structured data, all of that is still part of it. So, it's a holistic strategy. You need to make sure you're checking all those boxes.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to tell dealers, and I listen, yes, you can hire an SEO company from anywhere, but SEO in automotive is very special. It takes a while for someone to really understand the business, the competitive
Mhm.
nature, the programs, how quick things change, the questions that consumers ask. And that's why I try to encourage dealers not to hire, their cousin or some guy who does restaurants and bars and, oh, but he's a nice guy
Right.
and he's local. I'm like, no, no, no. CF Search Marketing's been in this for a long time. How many years has the agency been engaging with dealers?
16 years. So,
Yeah.
and you're right. You have to know the car business and you have to know what questions to ask. And I mean, do those companies even know what Market Master is? Do they know if they're working with Toyota? Do they know what Elms data is?
Right.
So, it's a strategy. And you have to kind of know the business in order to kind of to get there.
Yes, and it's been fun more recently, just meeting more of your executive management team and doing some joint projects with the Morgan Auto Group.
Mhm.
That's really exciting. I know that Andrew Vlaslowski over at Arrigo loves working with your team, and that's exciting. And more importantly, that you're adapting to getting data feeds from the CDP. So a very progressive company. So I'm really, really glad
Thank you.
that we've been having the opportunity to work together. What if a dealer is saying, hey, I'm not sure if my website is set up properly to really be found in the evolving generative AI search and more AI queries that are questions, not so mathematical, right? I think we're all becoming or learning to become more descriptive and conversational. Is there a way that you score a dealer's website or evaluate a dealer's website? Because I'm not sure if the general leaders, general managers in dealerships know how to evaluate if the new search algorithms and the new content strategies are aligned with what they have in place.
Yeah, 100%. We do audits, and you say scoring, which is ironic because you haven't seen these, but it scores it from 0 to 10. So, parts and service, used cars, new cars, finance. So all of those kind of keyword searches, we put them in different buckets, and
Yep.
we put in your competitors, and it kind of shows where you land.
Great. When you think about the strategies you have to support dealers and making them successful, what's one thing that you want to tell the dealers on today's podcast that are looking for an agency that has experience? Obviously, CF Search Marketing is in a number of the OEM co-op programs as well. What
Mhm.
would you tell them about how you're focused on helping them succeed?
I would tell them, pick a partner that really cares about your business and, manages maybe the entire budget. So they're not just trying to up a budget, maybe in paid search or here or there. They can throttle the budgets where they see it are going to help you and impact the bottom line the most. And consult with you on some other things that you're doing, whether that be third parties or whatever is on your budget, and looking at the CRM, how's this working, looking at all the data. So just really understanding their business. Pick somebody that understands their business and doesn't just read a report and actually says, okay, this is, not everything isn't great. We have to fix
Right.
XYZ, because if you show up to a meeting and always say, oh, everything's great, and they're not selling cars or they're not getting the leads, it's a tough market a little bit right now. The
Sure.
competition's increasing. Some people are still having inventory issues. So, really pick a partner that is a true partner, not just a vendor.
And Connie, just for people who may not be familiar with CF Search Marketing, you're a full service agency, right?
We are full service, yes.
So you can do video production, streaming, paid search, direct mail, email, the whole gamut.
Right. And identity resolution. So we
Yeah,
have that as well. Yeah.
that's what I'm really excited about, because you're helping dealers identify more of the people who are coming to their website who are not submitting leads, which is 10x times the number of people who are submitting leads, and giving them the ability to know when their customers are back online, and also
Mhm.
new ways to reach out, right? Being able to drop a direct mail piece or being able to send that an email to somebody, not who's in a modeled audience that you have to trust, but actually people who have been de-anonymized on their websites. I think that's a breakthrough. So dealers must be super excited, because with identity, right, they're seeing significantly more sales opportunities each month through the de-anonymizing of consumer data. Is that correct?
They are. I was just talking to a dealer this week that is unhappy with his agency, and his leads are down. And I was showing him, some of Morgan's actually results. They had 300 leads in 1 month, just off of that. And not to mention, what the audiences do for their other channels, right? And once they plug them in to the other, advertising that they're doing. So it definitely can help dealers in a number of ways. So it's something that when I look at a dealer's budget, again, I say, you have to have this.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
we're putting this in your budget. We're going to
Yeah.
make this part work because this is going to help everything else that we're doing be more successful. So,
Yeah. So, I've said in writing that with identity resolution, dealers can easily double the number of sales opportunities per month. And that's because of identity resolution. If you think about it, 1 to 2% of the traffic that comes to a dealer's website submits a form. That's it. And maybe another 4 to 8% call. So 90% of the traffic effectively stays anonymous until the last minute or just shows up. And being able to de-anonymize the people who come to the website, which are thousands of people a month, gives dealers more opportunities to reach out to existing customers before they defect. It also gives them the ability to drop a direct mail piece to people who visit their website, right? Because you can find out
mhm.
where this person lives. And depending on the use cases and the data, even sending them a general email offer out. These are all new channels of marketing. As you mentioned, these website visitor audiences that are being able to be matched to name, address, phone, email completely change Facebook advertising, completely change Google advertising. And I think what you implied is that if the dealer trusts you with their entire budget, you can move money to where things are really working
Right.
and maybe where the competition isn't fishing. And I think that streaming is one of those things that a lot of dealers aren't investing in it, and connected TV and other media channels which now can be almost one-to-one since someone visited the website. I think that's really powerful, Connie.
Yeah. And then I'd also like to mention, there's BDCs are having better conversations with the customer. That's something that we often don't talk about. They know what they were looking for.
Yes.
So, if they were looking at used and new, maybe, that steers the conversation. If they're looking at all SUVs, et cetera. So the dealers really like that part. The dealers that use it like it's supposed to be used really get a lot out of that part as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up about if the dealers use it. When you add identity resolution, you could see when people abandon a service scheduler or abandon a trade form or abandon a digital retailing tool. The real question is, does the dealer have enough leadership to handle those new opportunities? And not all do. And sometimes they do the wrong thing because they're not staffed properly, which aggravates consumers too. So
Mhm.
we need to be ready, and I will definitely be talking about it at the Modern Retailing Conference of what identity resolution does to really change the economics of the dealer's website. Connie, you mentioned audits and the ability to look at a dealer's budget, make some suggestions. What if somebody wanted to take you up on that offer, a dealer or dealer group who's watching? How do they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website, cfsearchmarketing.com, where we actually have identity resolution on our own website. You'll see get a free audit. It's going to pop up. Or you can just email us at sales@cfsearchmarketing.com.
Well, that makes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Again, I want to encourage the dealers and marketing managers and tech leaders that are watching this podcast or listening in their car that CF Search Marketing and their team will be at the Modern Retailing Conference in Palm Beach, November 17th, 18th, 19th. And if you've never been to MRC, the hotel is beautiful. The location and weather is
Beautiful.
awesome. But that's not why people come. It's because we're pushing the industry forward. We're talking about the next generation of opportunities for dealership leaders. This isn't the basics. This isn't, hey, you should answer a lead, or hey, this is how you should greet someone. There's enough people are doing that. We're talking about identity resolution, customer data platforms, AI applications in communications, AI applications in data management or inventory lifecycle management, all of the new tech that is relevant to help dealers in a very difficult economic time. And Connie, I agree with you. So go to the modernretailingconference.com, get signed up for the conference. It sells out every year. The hotel sells out every year. You want to be inside the O for sure and be part of this amazing conference. And then you'll get a chance to meet up with the leaders from CF Search Marketing. But don't wait until then. You can go over to cfsearchmarketing.com and request an audit, or as Connie mentioned, just email sales@cfsearchmarketing.com and see what they can say that might excite you about the opportunities that your dealership can have with identity resolution in place and maybe a more modern approach to your SEO and all of your marketing strategies. Connie, as we wrap up today's conversation, if there was one thing you want to tell dealers about the culture of your company and the results of your company that would encourage them to call you, what's that one thing?
We're passionate about what we do, and we want the dealers to succeed. So we want to know your goals, and we want to achieve those goals and hopefully exceed those goals. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and that's what dealers want to know, that you're ready to listen and plug in their specific needs, not just feel like a template, right? Another number in the line. Well, Connie, thanks for being on the podcast. For the dealers listening in, for the automotive leaders who are watching today, I want to let you know that there is a series of interviews for all the people who will be speaking and running workshops and influencing the educational content at the Modern Retailing Conference. So this is in the series On the Road to MRC. So please just search for the Brian Pasch podcast and listen into all the interviews of the thought leaders, technology companies, and the dealership leaders that will be at the Modern Retailing Conference. And you can just listen in on your favorite podcast player just by searching Brian Pasch Podcast. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for listening in. Connie, thanks. Looking forward to seeing you in November. And
Thanks, Brian.
We are looking forward to greeting all our friends in November in Palm Beach. So without further ado, close out the day strong, and we'll see you next time on another podcast interview.